Your husband's a construction worker, making 1,000 a month? At my child's kindergarten sports day, I was insulted about my husband. Moreover, she even found fault with the first place prize my son had won. I retorted in anger. My husband and son are nothing like the low-life person you are. What? How dare you talk back, being a dropout? As she and I glared at each other, my husband appeared in his expensive suit and said, 1K is the hourly wage, actually. Suddenly, she was astonished at the identity of my husband, and she ended up completely embarrassed. My name is Lila. While being a mother of one and a homemaker, I'm also active online as an essay-style cartoonist. Balancing parenting and work is tough, but it makes my daily life fulfilling. All thanks to my adorable child and loving husband. I couldn't have imagined having such a happy family in the past, because I was a school refuser during high school. I only attended for the first year or so. Thinking back, I've always had trouble talking to people, so I couldn't fit in with my classmates, and I became an outcast. I started getting teased by my classmates. Before I knew it, I was receiving terrible harassment from the girls' group. They splashed water on me in the restroom, and they spread strange rumors about me. I began to hate going to school, and I spent my teenage years at home. I think I had given up on life back then, but my parents never abandoned me. Thanks to the support of my kind father and mother, I managed to get back on my feet. I may have dropped out of high school, but life isn't all about educational background. I believed in that lesson, and continued to work hard to find a profession. I studied illustration and started building my work experience through crowdsourcing. After working hard, I managed to grow enough to make a living in this industry. And I also married a good person who acknowledged me. My husband Guire is a roofer who works for a construction company. He leads a busy life filled with sweat and effort every day. On the other hand, our son Martin is 3 years old, a bright and lively little rascal. Though my husband and I were always busy working together, we raised our child with love. Perhaps because of that, our son is growing up to be a good kid, without any problems. Recently, we successfully enrolled him in kindergarten. I was a bit worried, but it seems he's having fun at kindergarten. He even made friends right away. Mom, I'm leaving! Take care on your way! Bye! Today, I'm again seeing off the kindergarten bus, with my son on it. When I returned home, I noticed something. Looking at it, the lunchbox was left on top of the shoebox. And it turns out it's my husband's lunchbox. It seems he forgot to take it to work. So I decided to take the lunch to the nearby construction site where my husband would be. When I arrived at the construction site, my husband was working hard, dripping with sweat. Don't neglect safety checks. Make sure to stay hydrated. My husband encouraged his workmates. Then he noticed me and came running over. Here, you forgot this. You brought it all this way? Thank you, Lila. Be careful. You know I'm busy too. Sorry. Just slipped my mind. With that, Guire laughed like a child. Just then, a worker's voice called for my husband from the construction site. I'm going then. Lila, watch out for cars. No sooner had he spoken than my husband briskly returned to the construction site. I couldn't help but smile at his spirited demeanor. That's when it happened one day. I was on my way to the kindergarten where my son attends. Today, a parents' meeting was scheduled there. Upon arriving, I headed for the classroom. That was my destination. Suddenly, a voice called out to me from behind. Oh, could it be? Lila? I turned around, and there stood a woman dressed in expensive clothing. Oh, you are... Her name was Emmeline, a high school classmate of mine. Apparently, she too has a child attending this kindergarten. It's been forever, hasn't it? Since high school? Just as she said, it was the first time in over a decade I'd seen her. But I couldn't find joy in this reunion. Why? Because she was the main reason I had refused to go to school back then. You still look as gloomy as ever. Well, our kids are in the same class, so let's get along. With that, she went into the classroom. I was left standing there, rooted to the spot. This is the worst. Emmeline seemed to think nothing of what happened back then. In fact, there wasn't a hint of an apology in her words. Was it a conditioned response? I tensed up just from seeing her. Fear, anxiety, and anger swirled inside me, but I shook my head and came to my senses. I would only lose if I let a vulgar person like her affect me. I slapped both cheeks to psych myself up and boldly entered the classroom. Now, to conclude, I would like each of you to introduce yourself. Please, starting from over there. The explanation about the facility and the event went smoothly and was over quickly. Next, the parents started introducing themselves. I'm Isla, Zeph's mother. Nice to meet you. The parents began to stand up, one by one. Amid the harmless introductions and responses, a pretentious voice rang out. I'm Emmeline, Alan's mother. My husband is a lawyer. Nice to meet you. She said it with a smug look on her face. It was a blatant display of wealth. Oh, so your husband is a lawyer. She received envious glances from the teacher and other parents, which put her in an even better mood. Thinking back, she always seemed to brag about her branded accessories to her friends in high school. People have different values, but when it's this blatant, it can't be described as anything but tacky. As I was pondering this, I realized it was my turn. I'm Lila, Martin's mother. My husband and I both work, so we want to coordinate our schedules to participate in events. Nice to meet you. I heard from Martin that you are a professional cartoonist, Lila. Yes, I'm serializing some essay cartoons on the web. Oh, that's amazing! I received praise from the teacher and other parents, and couldn't help but blush with modesty. Then Emmeline, who was watching, spoke up. Speaking of which, Lila, you were always alone in high school, drawing strange pictures, weren't you? Oh, you two went to the same high school? Yes, we did, but I don't know her very well because she quickly refused to go to school. She said, laughing with a look that seemed to mock my dropping out. She probably didn't like that the focus shifted from her to me. Moreover, she might not have found it amusing that I had become a cartoonist. She used to mock my dream of becoming a cartoonist back in high school. I even had some of my drawings torn while she laughed. The atmosphere in the room quickly soured because of her awful behavior. The teacher, sensing the mood, hastily began to close the parent-teacher meeting. Thank you all for coming today, despite your busy schedules. We really appreciate your support moving forward. Also, we'll be sending out a note later about sneakers. And so, the parent-teacher meeting came to an end. About a month has passed since then. Now my son is practicing for a running race, mostly with my husband. The kindergarten sports day is coming up. Martin, when you run, your posture should be like this. Like this? Martin imitates his father. My husband seems to be busy with work, but he still finds a little time to teach our son how to run. I cheer them on while racking my brain for energy-boosting meals. And day by day goes by, and finally the day of the sports day arrives. It's held at the nearby elementary school's ground, and lots of parents are gathered. Ball throwing, tug-of-war, obstacle race. The children are joyfully giving it their all. I watch this adorable scene, waiting for my son's turn. I'll finish up work and be there, for sure, he said. My husband had said so, but he was nowhere to be seen. Unfortunately, he had an important job today that he just couldn't miss. At this rate, he probably wouldn't make it on time. I was eagerly waiting for my son's turn, camera in hand, thinking of my husband. Finally, it was time for my son to run. But for some reason, Martin wasn't at the starting line. The teacher seemed perplexed, looking around frantically. I followed suit, scanning the grounds, and spotted my son near the fence. It looked like Martin was with another boy. The boy next to him was Emmeline's son. Alan, wasn't it? As I watched, puzzled, the two of them made their way to the starting position. The teacher fired the starter gun, and the running race finally began. The children ran off with all their might. Go, Martin! I cheered for my son as he ran his hardest. And as a result, Martin won first prize. Martin, you were so fast! Yes, his form was solid, and he looked great. Does he do sports or something? After the running race ended, a friend's mom nearby praised my son's running. I felt as happy as if it were about me. No, nothing special. He's been practicing running with his dad, that's all. Oh, with his father. What a wonderful husband you have. I'm envious. My husband might not even know that today's the sports day. Mine's no good at this sort of thing either. I envy men who can do sports. Oh, it's not like that. He works in a construction company, so he's just confident about his physical strength. I felt my cheeks relax even more as they praised my husband. Speaking of which, Mr. Guire is working at a construction site nearby, isn't he? Yes, yes. Whenever I pass by there, he always greets me cheerfully and says, "Watch your step." His smile is wonderful at that moment. It seemed that my husband had become a bit of a celebrity among the moms. It might be flattery, but I was still proud. Then Emmeline arrived. "You seem to be in a good mood." She looked noticeably unhappy. She probably didn't like that my family was being praised. Also, she seemed irritated that Alan had lost to Martin. She started to nitpick about my son's first prize. But was that first prize really earned by merit? "What do you mean?" I asked sharply, and she replied with contempt. "Your child probably threatened mine into losing." "On what grounds can you say that? He was with my child before the race started, wasn't he?" She seems to think that my son threatened Alan during that time. Sure, I was suspicious about the fact that the two boys had come out together late, but there's no way my son would do something so dishonest. I respond with indignation. "Martin would never do something like that." "Oh, really? I heard a rumor that your husband's a roofer, making $1,000 a month. Ha! Roofing is a job for dumb and rough people, isn't it? He'd have no problem threatening someone. Maybe he even gave your son some pointers. Like father, like son, right?" Her prejudice and insulting words made it impossible for me to contain my anger. I could let her talk about me that way, but I couldn't stand her belittling my family. I protested to protect the honor of my child and husband. "My husband and son are nothing like you. A vile person like yourself." "Ah! How dare you talk like that when you're a dropout?" The surrounding parents start to murmur as the heated exchange and glaring continue. In the midst of this, my shoulder is tapped from behind. I turn to see my husband, dressed in a suit, standing there. He says, catching his breath, "Did Martin's running race end already?" "The running race ended a little while ago." "Oh, that's too bad. I hurried, but didn't make it in time." As he speaks, he scratches his head thoughtfully. On the other hand, Emmeline appears to be confused at the sight of Guire in a high-end suit. "Why? What happened to those filthy work clothes? Aren't you just a lowly roofer making $1,000 a month?" Hearing her words, my husband said with a shy smile, The $1,000 is about the hourly wage." Yes, Guire is indeed a roofer, but he's also the owner of his own construction company since he started it independently. His company has become a great success as a top supplier, renowned for the speed and accuracy of their work. Furthermore, they were on a rapid growth trajectory, expanding into interior design, overseas development, and more. Recently, they were even featured on television and in magazines for their efforts in digitizing the construction process. His nickname in the media is the 1K Dollar Man. The rumor of a monthly income of 1K dollars must have been a misunderstanding passed on by various people. But working so desperately at the construction site? Emmeline's voice trembled, stunned by the shocking truth. Then my husband spoke again, with a shy smile. It's about never forget where you come from. Certainly, he is not in a position that typically involves laboring on site. However, out of respect for field work, Guire still sometimes works on site himself. He also strongly emphasizes safety checks to his workers. This might be because of his respected carpenter father's accidental death due to a safety management mistake. After that tragedy, he switched from carpentry to roofing. Roofing is indeed the highlight of the site, an essential role that is responsible for the lives of the workers. Ensuring that the workers can work safely, setting up proper scaffolding, and assembling the steel frame. Construction is said to begin with a roofer and end with a roofer. My son and I were proud of such a roofer husband. On the other hand, Emmeline, knowing that her husband was faultless, turned her attack on me. "That's so sneaky. You never said he was that amazing." "I don't stoop to vulgar tactics like flaunting my husband's profession, unlike someone else." Hearing me say that, Emmeline's face twisted in frustration. Then Martin came running to us. "I won first prize, thanks to Dad." "Wow, that's the result of intense training. You did a great job. I'm proud of you." Squire rejoiced as if it was his own victory, and patted Martin's head. With an even bigger smile, our son continued. I also tied my friend's loose shoelace before the race. It would be dangerous if they tripped. Those words must have struck Emmeline with a great shock. Now scornful glances from the parents around her were piercing through Emmeline. She realized that her argument was entirely wrong, and her face twisted in discomfort. It seems the misunderstanding is cleared, so we'll be on our way now. Saying that, I turned my back on her. But then I remembered something and spoke to her. You were told in the parent-teacher meeting that Velcro shoes were the rule, weren't you? Didn't you hear? At that moment, Emmeline's face turned beet red with embarrassment. Since then, Emmeline has never attended any kindergarten gathering. Her disgraceful behavior at the sports day seems to have affected her deeply. Now in her place, her husband Johnny attends the kindergarten gathering. He's a sincere man, and after learning about the situation, he came to us to apologize right away. My wife Emmeline was extremely rude, he said, and apparently he and Emmeline are discussing divorce. I was told that Emmeline has been troubling Johnny with her excessive spending and selfishness for a long time. Moreover, she has been entirely indifferent to parenting, and yet she always insisted on attending kindergarten events, which showed her poor character. For her, kindergarten gatherings were merely a stage to assert her dominance. Johnny finally had enough of such a wife. He had been hesitant to pursue a divorce because of the child, but he decided he could no longer overlook the situation. Alan, it's all your fault for losing to that kid. I'm sorry. Saying such a thing to one's own child is bound to happen. If anything, the decision was long overdue. Emmeline pleaded with Johnny. Please, anything but a divorce. But it didn't seem like her wish would be granted. Johnny proudly stated that he intends to gain custody and raise Alan with love. On the way home, he made a request to his son. Martin, will you continue to be friends with my Alan? Yeah! My son responded in a cheerful voice, waving his hands as he saw off Johnny. His concern was undoubtedly unfounded. Since the sports festival, Martin and Alan had already become friends. According to the teacher, the two often played joyfully together, with the other children in games like tag and ball toss. If the children are spending their time in good health, that is the most important thing. And then, on a certain holiday, we were planning to head to town to buy some snacks for the parent-child outing next month. I'm going to exchange snacks with Alan. Martin, Dad's definitely going on the outing, so get ready. The two of them excitedly left the house, checking left and right to see if any cars were coming. Right clear, left clear.